Time today, if he's in the, if he's, Dr. Sam Dede is an actor, of course. We all know him as an actor. He's also a theater and media lecturer at University of Port Harcourt. Dr. Tunji Assis, Professor Tunji Assis. Please pardon my error. Professor Tunji Assis is from the Theater and Media Studies Scholars, Minnesota State University, USA. I'm not sure if he's present with us or if he would be joining us. Microphone on to the moderator so that you can take this on. I would like to quickly invite the representative of the NL of their session. Who is the representative of the NLNG program? Okay. I guess we will come back to it, go into the session. Apologies, sir. I have to just do this.
All right, good afternoon, everyone, and good afternoon to our panelists. Huge apologies. We just needed to sort out some few things that I saw for Nigeria LNG, and I'm here representing the manager, corporate communications and public affairs, Nigeria LNG, iREP2026. Essentially, what it is simple. We have the Nigerian Prize for Science and Innovation. And what we're doing is awarding, spotlighting, and rewarding creative and, of course, innovative and scientific innovations that provide solutions to African, Nigerian problems, to be specific, and, of course, literary works that is really helping to push the Narrate Prize for Creative Arts. And interestingly, this year, we focused on documentary filmmaking, all right? And we're looking at the theme, identity. And that is because we understand how much the documentary film sector can go in transforming, of course, youth between the age of 18 and 35. Of course, not fiction, not longer than 20 minutes. The call for entry has been open and it's going to be closing 30th of April. They're going to be passing the flyers around. Just expect to see your entries, and we hope that the winner for this year, which is the first year of the prize, will come from this room. I hope somebody will say amen. Thank you very much.
QR code and apply. So without further delay, I would yield the ground for the conversation to start.
It's a pleasure and a challenge actually to be moderating this session. I have multiple PhD challenge, but at the same time, I've been privileged to be part of this industry for many years, from journalism to broadcasting and to government regulatory functions. So I have some pretty good idea of how stuff works in this industry. And when I was listening to Chude, he said something which I think is critical. And it goes without saying that, you know, whatever we're teaching, because I see documentary filmmaking as a mix of journalism and somewhat a mix of, to get into your own voice. So my first question will be whether the three of you, as people who teach media studies and film, of making films, especially documentary films, or whether the young people, whether you're seeing them having a voice, whether they're being able to is having clarity about the issues within the society, that they're not just, you're not just teaching them, you know, it's not based on the cameras, but it's based on this task. So I want to start with Professor Sam. Yeah.
All right. Thanks. Thanks a lot. I think that we have. Can we have some quiet around here? Thank you. We have the university system, and you know, just like what you are talking about, most of the courses that exist in our curriculum are a carryover of mostly America. That's what obtains, But we have not been able to think enough about what the medium of film can do for us and the continent, and that's. I had the opportunity of designing the courses for the film and media department at Wigwe University, and one of the things that I emphasized on is creating or producing filmmakers, or we are thinking about producing a generation of filmmakers who are also much of what we talked about this morning at the previous panel. So, doing for us. My father used to ask me, when you do something stupid, he would ask you, what do you go to school for? Films, and all that would need to
Prof, you teach in LASU.
Yes, I do.
Now, what are the gaps? Or really, are there any gaps, or are you pretty much satisfied?
All right, thank you so much. First and foremost, I will say something. The young people that you think are not useful to you, understand they are also feeling your pains. Because there's something called a... Doc can testify to this, and my brother, Prof, can testify to it. The Nigerian educational system, universities are no longer allowed to develop curricula that will suit their peculiar needs or peculiar needs of Nigeria. Full-fledged film curriculum. And then when NUC came up now, they have film and multimedia studies in mass communication, and then film production, leaving us with just 30% that they call local content. And this is a big limitation for us. Because there are so many courses that we want to come up with, that because you've been given in the curriculum of Nigerian universities. If a graduate from Pan Atlantic University will have done almost 70% the same courses with a graduate of advanced countries, other countries. Some universities are known for specific things or areas. Now they've eroded that, and we'll get to that later. Thank you.
Thank you. Prof, to you. So it appears what Prof is saying, that documentary filmmaking is actually the weakest link even within you. You think it can be resolved purely from the point of view of, because there's always this conversation of whether we're teaching theorists, what is the percentage of theory, 70% practice, and if it's 70% practice, can you cure some of this structural problem with sort of attaching your students to industry, for example, to the filmmakers? That's the structural problem, because I know how hard it is to fix the problem from NUC.
Well, I'll talk about what we have done at the Pan Atlantic University, because because this concern for the social is one that we take very much to heart. We are preparing people we teach, but in the very culture of the university as a whole. And we have always aimed at a hands-on approach. So you will find that we have been talking, it's actually what has been a part of our strategic objectives for the last 5 years, that 40% are here, greetings to them. And we try to expose them as much as possible to real life things. So with the internships, with the professionals coming to ensure that it's not just a thing of theory. No, it's theory and practice. So people are putting into practice what they're learning in the theoretical way. And the other aspect is that we understand the principles behind what they're doing. So it's not just to learn about the techniques of the camera, but you need to know the why. It's a key part of what you love. But then how you then put all of that into practice, I think there is a bit of scope, to go beyond what you're limited to in terms of the...
Industry practitioners as part of your faculty.
Yeah.
To what percentage?
In fact, what I will start with is that at LASU, and you find out that even at the beginning of developing a curriculum, also the head of school, Cap Film and Television Academy, which is based on practice, Kunle Afolanyon's Academy. So, and we have practitioners like Shulafo Sudo and the rest. So in designing the curriculum, for example, Obi Emenyole was here, was in LASU recently, right, you guys, to come and talk about directing. However, what we need to realize, then something has happened now to the curriculum by NUC. We now have a whole semester dedicated to going to the industry. The students who are here now from LASU are a combination of those who are in mass communication and media studies, and those who are in film production, and those who are in theater arts. So that there will be a synergy. It can be robust enough. But when you bring them from those faculties and departments, we get more from them. And that is why I would say that because as somebody in the industry too, we emphasize that practice. That will tell you the hands-on experience that will give to them. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I had this conversation is like 2 years ago. She came to me, it's like, Dad, I need this camera, I'm like, no, you have your phone. Tell the story with your phone. From the first year in school, towards your degree, the projects you do, you must do a thing you practicalize in your own career, that the students must have a project that they do, not waiting for the final year, but that they review stuff together, either personally or in groups.
Every semester, I think.
Well, if you go by what NUC has approved, much of the courses that students do in or that are offered to students in the different universities are almost uniform. So depending on the approach to, so it's just to lift them, and so a lecturer at LASU can come to Uniport and teach a course because it's already streamlined and coming from a more field-oriented approach to filmmaking. First year, basically fundamentals with, NUC, and you have courses like European cinema. And say, what are we doing with European cinema? That's a one-off 30 minutes talk. A 30 minutes as a full 3-credit, load course. So what I did, and we had a whole back and forth with NUC. They were not going to accept those courses. Sociology of film, the language of African film. But the 30% that you have, you can use that to do quite a lot. So practice and theory combined from the first year. And that's why the students at Wigwe, because they do films on a weekly basis. You must do a 5 minutes film. Pick anything on the internet. Do a documentary. But the emphasis was university.
So it's good because you touched on the point that I was going to raise going forward, which is obviously the storytelling from a European perspective. When you started, you said a lot of the courses sort of curricula that the way that Africans tell stories. For example, Nigerians, we're very vocal, but we're driven a lot more by like the style of the Europeans or the Americans, the cinema verite. That our style is different. Do you think that, from our own point of view, in terms of the curriculum of storytelling, is embodied sufficiently in the curriculum?
Yeah, I think like I said, those courses that are NUC course, your approach to doing it, and if you You want to tell your students about how films are made in Hollywood. And this is an industry that has soul. Okay? An industry that grew out of its own steam by constantly challenging itself with nothing. My brother here does makeup in Nollywood. He said, look, whatever John Wayne was doing in those Western films, whatever Sylvester Stallone was doing, we could make our own versions of it. You know? So the what we call a knockout. So we had to literally strap knockout bangers inside the costumes and then light them quickly, and the director says action, bangers, and we proved a point.
Now I understand why these things were so real.
Yeah, so it's got education in filmmaking, the use of software. We didn't have anything that we